everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Look Back, a series where I take a look at the reviews I did last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and all the way back to 20 years ago. So let's start with the 20 years ago first. These are the games I reviewed then. Let's talk about what I think about them, if I think about them at all. First, we have Debate This, which was a thing about, hey, let's have some topics and debate them in a game. 20 years ago, I was much more agreeable to do this. I am not now, so I've dropped this to a 5 out of 10. Shark Park, a memory kind of game. There was the Finding Nemo craze. Obviously, this game was based on that. Not very good, 5 out of 10. Packroo, Shackroo, and a Zackroo. So these are 3 games that all came in the same box, and they're all kind of the same thing. They're essentially a board game version of Snake, where you're moving around and trying to eat the other snake, or kind of like a Pac-Man snake type thing. I reviewed each one separately. They're essentially just more complex versions of the last. I think the middle one, Shackroo, is the one I like the best, but I did enjoy them a lot, 7.5. 10 years ago, I reviewed Peloponnese card game, which I thought was just terrible, 4 out of 10. Porta Nigra. This is a Kramer Kiesling game, and I tend to like their combinations, but this one just didn't do it for me. I found it to be a little boring, 5 out of 10. The King is Dead from Pierre Sylvester, Osprey Games. This is a game, it feels like it's a bigger game that was streamlined. And streamlining is often very good, but this one I felt almost a little streamlined too much, a 6 out of 10. The Gallerist, a Vital Lacerda game, 6.5 for me. This one's almost there. And I know a lot of people love Vital Lacerda. His games are probably not for me for the most part, and this is the game that kind of showed me that. It's not bad. I didn't hate it. I had a good time playing it to some degree, but it felt like it was more work than it was worth, hence the reason it didn't make a 7. Andromeda. This is a game from Galacta. Kind of a futuristic space game. It was fine, but very forgettable to some degree. 6.5. Fleet Wharfside. This is the Fleet game no one ever talks about. We have Fleet and Fleet the dice game, but there was also Fleet Wharfside, kind of like Fleet the card game. It was nice, a 7 out of 10. San Fernito. This is a game. This was actually remade recently with, I think, a sushi theme. It might have been called Hibachi or something like that. And that's not sushi. But anyway, I think it was called Hibachi the second time through. But San Fernito is a game where you were tossing chips onto a board, but there was a game built around that. So it was dexterity, but also trying to collect ingredients and stuff. I love the Indian spice theme to it. So that was neat. 7 out of 10. My Village. Was not a huge fan of Village, a game in which your workers died as the game went by. And I get the theming of that and all. For some reason, Village didn't do it for me. But My Village, which was the dice version, that one I enjoyed, a 7 out of 10. Speaking of dice, Rolling America, which I believe was the follow-up to Rolling Japan. I'm not actually sure which one came first. I think Rolling Japan came first. But Rolling America is a very, very simple, almost bingo-esque roll and write, where I think you can play with hundreds of people if you wanted to play the same game. But it works well in that situation, 7.5. Brick Party. You probably haven't heard of this, but just this past year, a game came out called Brick Like This, which is a remaking of this game. Wasn't originally Lego themed. Now it is Lego. It used Lego-like blocks originally, but a fun game in which one person's telling another person what to build. 7.5. Kemet Ta Seti. This is a game, and I like this expansion, and I feel the same way as I did about it when it first came out. Where there was a whole pre-section of it, which I did not think was great, but the other part was just adding more stuff. I enjoyed a lot. I still feel that way, but it's kind of a moot point because the new Kemet kind of adds this stuff, and now there's a new expansion that adds even more stuff. So it doesn't really matter. Schorf Schulten. This is a trick-taking game where you would predict the color you would take the least of with a hot pepper theme, which doesn't really mean anything, but I did enjoy this one more than many trick-taking games, an 8 out of 10. 5 years ago, I played a game called Fidget Factory. They were trying to, hey, we're going to take fidget devices and make them into a game. They did not. 3 out of 10. Photosynthesis Under the Moonlight. This expansion made me dislike the base game, Photosynthesis, more than I did without the expansion. It's weird that very few expansions have made me drop my rating of the original game. But this was it added nothing. I don't know. It just added animals and stuff, and it made the game actively worse. 5 out of 10. P for Pizza. Simple little party game. You flip slices. There's a letter. There's a category. Shout out the thing. It's fine. 6 out of 10. Viscounts of the West Kingdom. As time has gone by now, 5 years, I look at the West Kingdom series. Architects is my favorite. Paladins is close behind. Viscounts is the one I probably like the least. I don't dislike it necessarily, but I don't find myself ever going to it. Thus a 6.5. Red Outpost. This is a weird game from Lifestyle Board Games about Marxist Mars. It has like almost a communistic theme to it. That's the reasoning, where everyone is equal and not, but you're forced to rest. And it's just an odd way to work workers. It's a weird game, but I thought it was interesting. 7 out of 10. Ducks in Tow is a cute game in which you have a bunch of ducks. The pieces are great. They're following you around and you're feeding them, picking them up. It's just an overload of cuteness. 7 out of 10. Gates of Mara is a game from WizKids, which has been forgotten by everybody. But it's just about opening gates. There's so many weird things in this game. It's like a Euro-style game. It doesn't look like it at all. 7 out of 10. Cafe. This is from Pythagoras. I think this is the size box of theirs I like the most. They just recently came out a game with Oliva, which I liked a lot. And Cafe was, I think, the first in this line about making coffee. 7 out of 10. Or the mining game looks horrible. I mean, it is one of the worst covers of all time, frankly. But the game inside, I think, is fun. You're collecting these different ore. There's a fun worker placement, turning the ore into points. Really neat game, but the theme isn't particularly grabbing for most people, and it just doesn't look great. So it's been completely forgotten. But I still liked it, a 7.5. Santorini, New York. A terrible name for a game because what? But it's in New York based on the game called Santorini, which is why it's called that. Yeah, it actually works better for multiplayers. Santorini, I think, is best at 2. You can play 2 to 3, but it's best at 2. While Santorini, New York, I thought worked better with more players. 8 out of 10. And Paris. Well, earlier I said I didn't like the one game from Kramer and Kiesling, but Paris is a game from Kramer that I really enjoyed. It's a big points out. You're building up Paris, but I enjoyed it. 8 out of 10. Last year I reviewed Babylon. I wanted to love Babylon, all these 3D pieces, but the 3D pieces were a problem. They fell, and then the game itself wasn't very good beyond that. It was okay. 5 out of 10. The Vibe, a party game in which you are trying to put things in order. There's a lot of these games out there. This one uses a lot of public domain art, which I felt detracted from it. I mean, 6 out of 10. It was fine. Rafter 5, a silly little game from Oink, where you have a little raft and you're building out pieces and trying to balance stuff. It's so stupid, but I like it. 7 out of 10. Slide, a game where you slide cards into a grid. Enjoyed this one. It's a neat little game as you put a card and slide it. I like it. 7 out of 10. Contrarium. I think I'm the only person on earth who likes this game. But it is a game in which I say, what is the opposite of a house? And then the card list answers that people have given in order, and you're trying to have the highest ranked one on that list. The problem is everyone argues over what the opposite of a house is. Is the opposite of a house homeless, or is the opposite of a house a skyscraper? And people say different things. I really like this concept. 8 out of 10. Tilt and Shout, a fun party game where you're tilting back and forth and shouting out answers. Works really well, I think, at conventions or big party gatherings. 8 out of 10. Ticket to Ride Iberia in South Korea. Hooray, they came out with another expansion for Ticket to Ride. They didn't come out with one this year. Is this the final one? We'll see, but I thought it was very enjoyable. Even though I lived in South Korea for 10 years, I thought I would like that side better, but I actually like the Iberia side better. 8 out of 10. Tidal Blades 2, a dungeon crawl with some of the most fun mechanisms I've ever played. A cool theme. This is an 8.5, but I can see this one raising for me as time goes by. Shackleton Base. This one did raise for me, an 8.5. This one just keeps getting better each time I think about it and play it. A game in which you're building a base on Mars. It's, whatever. But there's different modules, and I think the theme actually comes out with these modules, and you plug in 3 modules. The game comes, I think, 5 or 6, and you plug them in, and they add different mechanisms, but the base mechanisms are already good as is. There's just lots of variety there, but the game itself is fun. Good interaction for a Euro-style game, so 8.5. Those are the reviews I did 1, 5, 10, and 20 years ago. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel, and this is Look Back on the Dice Tower. Hey, thanks for watching another video here on the Dice Tower. We really appreciate you stopping by and checking our things out. Thanks so much for joining us today. And hey, if you really like what we're doing here at the Dice Tower, then there are different ways to support the Dice Tower. One of those ways is through Patreon. We have links in the description to this video, and we have links to lots of other things we do down there, so definitely check it out. But either way, we're glad you watched us. Tell your friends about the Dice Tower. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel, and I hope you enjoyed this video.